it's the following day, about 3:51 in the morning, and I made those vlogs yesterday. Well, no, I made them at one point or another. But anyway, I forgot one of my most important shelves when going on and on about poetry and that. I didn't finish all the poetry. I mean, I've got literary publications here and older English and British poetry and Irish poetry and American poetry and Canadian poetry compilations. But one of my favorite shelves, which is it's on its own, is Sylvia Plath, her collected poems, though I don't like them as much as I love her journals. I recommend reading the journals of Sylvia Plath. I prefer them over her poetry, though I do like her poetry. Yes, you'll see Ted Hughes' birthday letters there. Who couldn't read it? I actually got that for $2 at a discount, like a discount store, which is funny because the book is probably worth a lot more. And I hadn't even heard of Ted Hughes when I bought that, and I hadn't even heard of Sylvia Plath. I was living in Glencoe. Remember, I'm not educated. So I hadn't heard of Sylvia Plath. I didn't know anything. I just liked the book itself and then became curious and later developed an obsession with Sylvia Plath to where I collected Sylvia Plath, Ted Hughes, essays, articles, and criticisms from the internet in September 2003. I've got 3 folders here of research I had done. I was very, very interested in their relationship in life, especially after reading the journals. The journals really inspired me in different ways, just the way she shared, especially being someone who likes to write in journals, or did at one time. I loved her openness, though she scared me a bit. She was a bit too graphic at times regarding her habits, but I tend to be that way too when I'm actually writing. Anyway, I recommend her journals. I haven't read them in years, and I probably will again, though. Then there's Anne Sexton, who you can hardly see, but I have her complete poems. Definitely a recommendation. I adore Anne Sexton's poetry, confessional poetry. She's top of the game. I mean, I have a bookmark in there because I was reading it yet again. I love Anne Sexton's poetry. I prefer Anne Sexton's poetry over Sylvia Plath's. Just so you know, Anne Sexton was amazing despite her life. And then A Self-Portrait in Letters, I read that as well and was quite interested in that. And then yes, later, much later, I read The Bell Jar, Sylvia Plath. But I still would say her journals were much more moving. And then I have a couple other books of letters, a book of war letters and Canada Portrait and Letters. I used to have Kurt Cobain's journals, but somebody borrowed the book and never brought it back, so I'll probably replace it. I have a thing for reading journals. These would be some. I would recommend a book, Stephen King's On Writing, one of the best books about writing out there. Seriously, whether you're a fan or not, or think his writing is crap or not, or that he's just a hack, or anything that you could say, he still knows what he's talking about in that book. And then I have some old writer markets. And then, of course, hello, Shakespeare. How could I forget this shelf? Shakespeare. Yes, I have read it. That's actually a tarot deck right there. Shakespeare. I love Shakespeare. I can't quote much of it, and it's been a while since I've actually delved into Shakespeare. And, of course, I haven't read every single work of Shakespeare yet. But, nor can I say I comprehend everything about it. But I do have favorites in Shakespeare, and I enjoy Shakespeare, and I love theater, seeing Shakespeare. No, I don't get bored or confused. I really do like it. And then see, I don't have my shelves straightened out yet because I moved here and blah blah. I have excuses, but unless I can get the shelves the way I want them, I don't really put much effort into actually doing them. But there's some classics up here, like some of my old favorites. Oh, I read Slaughterhouse-Five for the first time this year, and yes, So It Goes. It was a good book. A Journey to the Center of the Earth is one of my old favorites from when I was a kid. Lord of the Flies, I know they make you learn it in school. It actually is good. People should read it. Catcher in the Rye, god damn it. Of course I liked it. Though I thought the guy was a bit of a spoiled ass. I've got other classics, Charles Dickens and such, and yes, I've read them. One of my most favorite books would be All Quiet on the Western Front. It reads like poetry. I like poetry, in case you didn't know. Of course, To Kill a Mockingbird is one of my favorite books. Alice in Wonderland, yes, and Through the Looking Glass. One of definitive books that has inspired so much in literature and all forms of media, in music, film, references everywhere, and even in my life, to the song White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane, to my own personal experiences. Yeah. And yes, I read Mark Twain many years ago. I have to keep reminding myself when I'm reading some of this old literature, the time and place of it, because my own personal political point of views or perspectives on... I get insulted sometimes, and I have to remember the place, but there's still great stories. The Color Purple's one of my favorite books. Connecticut Yankee, that was fun. Automated Alice, Jeff Noon. This is another book. Quite a few of my books are given to me by Gwen, but this is a great follow-up to Alice in Wonderland. It was great. I'd like to read more of his stuff. I haven't yet. Frankenstein, definitely read that. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. No, I have not read The Grapes of Wrath yet. There are some books within my collection that I have not read yet. In my hallway, I have... see, I tried to sort things out and I didn't quite get so far. This is my Canadian bookshelf. I'm pretty much into Canadian history. So you have... you know, Canadian stuff. And yes, I've read quite a bit of it. Buzz Hargrove, I used to be in the Union, and it's an interesting book. Some trivia books, some law, and some of these are from... I don't want to go into it. Anyway, one of my favorite books ever would be Stephen King, The Talisman, with Peter Straub. I loved this book. I mean, this really was quite an adventure for me. In fact, I picked it up twice because I ended up giving it, letting someone read it and they never returned it. And I recommend this book for those who are into fantasy, or, I mean, it's just brilliant. And this is some of my favorite, yeah. And the Crystal Cave series, Mary Stewart. I was into the Terry Goodkind, kind of lost me around this book or that one. I kind of got sick of it, but the first book, brilliant. Again, favorite book, on the wrong shelf, but the rest of the shelves aren't quite done. Chronicles of Amber, My Name is Amber. I've read the first and second volumes, and first and second, and I loved them, but I haven't read any further. Red as Blood, Tainted Lee, of course. I mean, yeah, hello.